What is going down? Jason and Brad are back for a playoff edition of State of the Franchise. Absolutely love to see it. We're going to get into uh, last week's game, preview the Seahawks, and all that good stuff. You already know the vibes. Smash that like button on both channels, and let's get this thing cooking. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to get into it all right now. What is going down, sourdough and spicy squad? We got the dual stream going down for our State of the Franchise event where Jason Aponte and I come together to discuss where the 49ers stand. And right now, Jason, they are standing 2 feet down in the playoffs, in the 2 seed. Seattle is going to be the opponent. But before we get into that, I want to give you an opportunity to cook, because I know you were adamant about the fraudulent Packers. And so I want to give you an opportunity to take that victory lap, because it did look like that fraudulent Aaron Rodgers showed up and got cooked by the Lions, and Dan Campbell biting kneecaps and all.
Brad, first of all, it's good to see you, man. And second of all, this is how you know that you and I are here. And we're best friends, because you knew we didn't talk about this. You knew where I was going to start.
No, I didn't know. I had a feeling.
But there were people that were crying in the corner, pissing and shitting themselves because Aaron Rodgers was coming. Oh, my God. Why are so scared of the Packers? They're so dangerous. Frauds. I need you to stop looking at Aaron Rodgers like that. I need you to stop talking about Aaron Rodgers like that. In a winner-go-home game, that's the bullshit he threw up on screen on Sunday Night Football in Lambeau. And that's what you were afraid of? You were scared of that. And the reason that I want to take this victory lap is because people were like, oh, remember when you said Atlanta was trash? Well, Atlanta is trash, and the Packers are frauds, so I was right about both. Stop worrying about the Green Bay Packers. Stop listening to the damn national media trying to tell you that they are all of a sudden like that because they beat the Bears and the Dolphins and the Vikings. They were never like that. I wish they would have been here. I would have felt way better about them being here. But you know what? Rodgers is washed. That team is fraudulent. They got punched in the mouth at home. Remember when you used to have to go to Lambeau and be like, damn, we can't win? Nope, that's gone. That is gone. But yes, I just wanted to take my time to say, damn, this wine tastes good as fuck, and the Packers stink, like I told you.
Oh, man, I can't believe they got cooked by the Lions on national television in a winner-take-all situation, and they allowed the Seattle Seahawks, who, again, they had an okay year, but they couldn't take care of business at home against the Lions. Ooh, you called that one. Fraudulent alert activated. End of Aaron Rodgers era in Green Bay. Is he done there? Is he going to be on to some other team next year?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, it was pretty telling that I think someone asked him for his jersey and he said, "No, I'm going to keep this one."
I saw that too.
So, I mean, if you see him and Randall Cobb walking down the tunnel, that kid Walker cried down the tunnel, running through, like the guy from Friday, he cried in the car. I'm sorry. We're gonna keep look.
We're starting out hot, baby.
I love 49ers fans, but damn, why were you all so nervous? I could not for the life of me understand this, man. I could not understand why you were scared of this team. God. They are not like that, but yeah, this might be the last time we see Aaron Rodgers. But it's just, again, the reason that I am so heavy on him is because he is too good to play that poorly in winner go home games, as he does usually, right? The divisional round last year, he didn't play well against the 49ers. Win and go home on Sunday Night Football in a regular season game in Lambeau, you didn't play well. If you look at the last game of the Packers season, it's usually Aaron Rodgers doesn't play well in those games. So when everybody starts to say, well, he's this, he's that, if it's clicking, We have a longer list of Aaron Rodgers not getting it done in the biggest game than we do him getting it done. And this all kind of wraps back up with my point about how 49er fans are so insistent on telling me, yeah, I want to win multiple championships. I don't want to win just one. I want to win a bunch. Well, Aaron Rodgers has one. Patrick Mahomes has one. Mike Tomlin has one. Andy Reid has one. John Harbaugh has one. Who's the only other person that wins multiple championships? It's a Brady guy. So, like, for me, I think we need to start looking at Aaron Rodgers in this fashion. And he's starting right now. He's starting right now to get more into Brett Favre territory, because Brett Favre was like that as well. In the last game that team played, whether it be in the playoffs or the regular season, he played poorly. And I think that, again, I think the world of Aaron Rodgers. I think he's probably one of the best natural throwers of the football I've ever seen. But the man chokes in every big game, man. I don't know, when are we going to start having to talk about that?
Well, I mean, we're talking about it right now because he's not in the playoffs. And, you know, they were looking like they were getting hot at the right time, but to fizzle out like that again at home in a do or die situation. They did it last year again, like we talked about, against the San Francisco 49ers. And, you know, to be able to do that against the Lions, man. And shout out the Lions. Dan Campbell has the Lions cooking right now. And you know, I'm a big Cal guy. I got my Cal flag behind me over here. So I'm a big Jared Goff guy. And, you know, I'm happy to see Jared balling out. And I think they are going to be a problem next year. I think the Lions are going to be a team that, you know, we're going to have to look at and see, like, okay, let's see what they can do with one more year of this group together. And, of course, adding more pieces to it. But again, it was funny because, you know, you were cooking last week, so had to open up and let you cook so once more. And
you know
we had
funny?
To start there.
It's funny, Brad, because I was going to start I was going to say, hey, you know, end of the regular season, what a regular season to be with you. But, like, I was going to do, like, this whole little monologue, and then I was going to rip the rug out from everybody and be like, can't wait to talk about this game against the Packers. Oh, wait, the Packers lost, but you know what? This is just as good. Either way, I was going to open this show by absolutely talking crazy about the Packers because they are the frauds that we thought they were.
And this wasn't playing. Like, this is how you know we're vibing. We're vibing together. I got to shout out my boy DJ. We finally got DJ the hat. He's not able to make it today, but he sends his regards. Even got the profile picture with the hat on. You'll love to see it. And as DJ would say, yeah, only took 6 months. Smash the like button, and we finally got it though. So shout out DJ, appreciate it. Glad he got the hat, and we're good to go there. But let's talk about, you know, we don't got to go too deep into like a full recap of the season. We might do that when it's all said and done. But, you know, the Cardinals coming into town, David Blau, no D-Hop. It was kind of close there, you know, the first quarter, a little bit into the second quarter. Well, what was your kind of initial thoughts, especially to, you know, you had that big play to to AJ Green over Deommodore Lenoir. Well, what was your kind of like initial feelings of that game against the Cardinals?
You know, obviously you don't want to start that way, but, you know, you saw the reaction of the Cardinals after that play went off. It was something that they definitely had in their opening install, their script. They wanted to run that. And when it's successful, it looks good. If Demo knocks it down, then it looks like, what the hell are the Cardinals doing? So the Cardinals were clearly just trying to have some fun. For me, when the game starts that slowly on defense, it was just that one touchdown, really. The defense just clamped up pretty much after that. There were some times where there was some plays where you're like, damn, what's up with the defense? But on offense, in terms of like when they started slowly, I think Kyle was just trying to be very vanilla, trying to get in this game, get out of this game with something very simple, get everybody healthy, get everybody out. Turns out that vanilla game plans can wash out other teams in terms of how the game finally went on. So for me, I wasn't really too worried on it in the beginning. This game just felt like the 49ers were going through the motions. The Cardinals were as well. Yeah. And they weren't trying to really show anything. They were just really trying to just do some basic stuff, run some basic concepts, and just get on out of there with the win. And it worked.
Yeah, and they came away with a 38-13 win. And again, they had that the 49ers offense had that opening drive score. It was a nice score, ended with the CMC screen. Everything was working really well. And then that second drive, you know, they had a couple sacks, and, you know, they had kind of went backwards a little bit. I'm happy to see, kind of Brock deal with some of those,
Absolutely.
not everything needs to be perfect, right? And we've had a little bit of that, like against the Dolphins, against the Bucks, for the most part on offense against Seattle, they've been cruising. So we're starting to see a little bit of how they manage adversity. And again, I keep coming back to Brock, and I think when we look at Brock heading into this playoff run, I mean, talking about a third string quarterback, we're always going to reference him as Mr. Irrelevant, right? Because that means no one valued him as a quarterback
I
because
think they should
everyone
stick with
passed
it.
on him.
They should stick with it at this point, right?
Right. So just seeing how he's able to rebound and keep dealing. What is your confidence level now that the second season starts? And we hear players talk about it all the time. If there's a different speed to the playoffs, just like
Yep.
there's a different speed from preseason or training camp to preseason to the regular season to January football, or excuse me, like December football to now January football. Do you think Brock's going to be able to keep cooking?
Yeah, I do. And again, this speaks to the poise, the experience that he has in college, all of those things. I mean, this is what I was talking about. Like everybody jokes that oh, Jason wanted the team to lose. No, I just kind of wanted to see him, not struggle, but I wanted to see him bounce back when things weren't necessarily rolling, right? Like he kind of
Right.
got into a groove in Miami where he's scoring 30 points 3 straight weeks and like everything's rolling. And then your first real test is the Seattle game with the oblique injury. And I think he passed that test. But there was never really times where the offense was stagnant or wasn't really moving. Now you're getting the sense of, well, one, he had to come back in this Raiders game. He can do it. It feels like that. And again, the Raiders defense isn't exactly playoff tested or playoff worthy, right? I get that portion of it. But you're starting to see that he can win in that way if that's what's possible. And then again, with this offense, the offense doesn't really require Brock Purdy to do anything other than distribute the football and protect it, right? Like this offense, Brock Purdy's executing it at a level that I don't think any of us have seen during the Kyle Shanahan era. Yeah, let's just say it. Let's just say it at this point, right? Like right, 5 of the 6 games that he's appeared in, they've scored over 30 points. And that's something that
we're always complaining about the offense, remember?
Right.
Like, and it was like we got a half of maybe some good 49ers offense. We never got a full game. We're like, what the hell, man?
And I think I can say wholeheartedly, offense still is leaving things out there, is still leaving stuff on the field, right? Like, picture this. We're talking about a game in which the offense was struggling a little bit to start. They put up 30-something points again. And this is just like in successive drives. So when you look at what Purdy's done, when you look at what he's being asked to do, when you look at the playmakers around him, this is the part that I think that people are just, everybody's like, well, can you trust the kid? The kid has nothing to do but get the ball to wide open guys, man. Like Ayuk's open, Kittle's open. McCaffrey takes those screen passes for long plays. We haven't even seen him with Debo much. Elijah Mitchell's back. This cast of characters, it's lifting the responsibility off of Purdy. And honestly, this is exactly what this was designed to do, whether it was Purdy or Jimmy. And this is the entire time that they've had Jimmy, right? Like the whole idea for Jimmy was to be a distributor. If you need a little bit more cool, like you would ask that, but that's not the game plan. So Brock Purdy just has to do what he's been doing. Get the ball to guys who are wide open. There's always been guys running wide open in this offense. There's always going to be the keys, the answers are always in Kyle Shanahan's play call, but I don't think we've seen it executed to this level. So yeah, I'm fine with what Purdy has to do because you can't expect him to go out there and put 38 up on, playoff teams. But if you put up 24 and his defense does what it does, you're fine. I think you're going to be fine. 24, 27, you're fine.
Brock Purdy really has been pretty special this year. And it's also to just not, working within the scheme. It's working outside of structure when things break down and they're throwing blitzes at him. And, defenses have been catching the 49ers offensive line, sliding protection to the, whatever side they're sliding protection to, they have an answer to the backside and they're getting free a lot, whether it's through the interior or on the edges. And Brock Purdy's continuing to show that isn't going to be a big deal for him. He can maneuver it and he can basically find the open receivers based on, defensive coordinators trying to fluster him. So it's been, again, I think it is, for me at least, the craziest development of the year. Outside of the Christian McCaffrey trade, which we could probably say is, if not one of the best mid-season trades of the year in regards to the impact. I mean, you look at the record, really 10-0, right? Since he's been acclimated into the offense and all that type of stuff. But with Brock Purdy, he is taking this offense to a different level. And I don't think, it's hyperbole. I don't think it's, just a bunch of fluff. Like, you watch the tape, Brock Purdy is out here doing things that we've wished for years and like we've wanted to see. And it's just wild that Brock Purdy's the one delivering that for us.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, again, this team, there's never any shortage of stories, scripts, anything, right? And to see how far he's come from training camp, because that's not the guy that I saw at training camp. Maybe I was a bit harsh on him at training camp, clearly. But that wasn't
I flat out didn't even evaluate him. I was
right. So
practice squad quarterback, let's go.
Right. So like else. That's what I'm saying. So like I was harsh. I was wrong. My mistake again was not believing that there was anything that he can improve and just thinking that he was a finished product in training camp. That was my biggest mistake. But that's not the guy that was in training camp. But the guys who saw him day in, day out, they believed that this was in there and they believed that this was possible. So, yeah, I mean, look, whatever is going to happen in the offseason is going to happen in the offseason. This is a good problem to have, in my opinion. I mean, I know the whole cliche of if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. I don't believe that to be true. I think that if the 49ers didn't draft Brock Purdy and bring back Jimmy Garoppolo, they probably wouldn't have won this many games. That, again, speaks to how deep the roster is, speaks to the roster building that they've done, even if it doesn't look like it's the smartest thing, because most teams don't really carry three guys, or if they do, one's on the practice squad like Purdy was. But, I mean, thank God they did. Again, man, I'm enjoying the ride, man, at this point. Who would have thought? If you would have told me that Brock Purdy was starting in week 18, I'd have been like, ah, shit, the Niners were 6-11 to finish the season, right? Like, yeah, or there was a whole bunch of injuries. But you know what? Here we are. And it's time to just enjoy the ride, table that talk about the offseason quarterbacks for the offseason. Got to go win 4 more. And I feel confident with Brock Purdy going into this postseason. Yeah,
well said. I feel confident as well in Brock Purdy. And I think the players are confident. Kyle Shanahan is confident. And, we can feel confident as fans, but the team is clearly bought into Brock Purdy. So I'll just pose this question once. I already know the answer. But let's say Jimmy Garoppolo comes back, NFC Championship game. Who starts?
If they're in the NFC Championship game, you roll with Brock Purdy. That's it, man. I mean, if they're in the NFC Championship game, that means that they've won 12 straight games. I don't see how you can, for everybody who loves five.
He's won 2 playoff games and he's undefeated. Right. He's undefeated. Well, what is he, Jason?
But he's never won the big one. What is it? What are we gonna say about this?
Never lost.
Never lost. Undefeated. No, but look. For everybody who goes crazy about Jimmy Garoppolo winning 5 straight games in 2017, this man would have won 12 straight games going into the NFC Championship game. And you expect a man to come off of that scooter and play better than Brock Purdy? If they're in the NFC Championship game, they're in the NFC Championship game probably because Brock Purdy put up better numbers than Jimmy Garoppolo did. Here's the funny thing, and I don't want to throw shots at Jimmy Garoppolo, but I want to kind of put 49er fans' minds at ease just a bit. Jimmy Garoppolo wins a lot of games. Jimmy Garoppolo can execute the offense very well. Jimmy Garoppolo has poor playoff numbers. If you are talking about what Brock Purdy has to do in the playoffs, it's not a high bar to clear. He has cleared that bar. He has cleared that bar week after week this entire time. It's not a high bar. Jimmy Garoppolo's won playoff games throwing the ball 8 times. Jimmy Garoppolo's won throwing 0 touchdown passes. Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Like, what exactly is this high bar that he needs to clear that all of a sudden now Jimmy Garoppolo needs to be rushed in? If you get to the NFC title game and Brock Purdy is the quarterback still, right, in those games, it's Brock Purdy who starts the NFC Championship game and then, God willing, the Super Bowl. Look, I'm not trying to take shots at Jimmy Garoppolo, but let's keep a spade a spade. he didn't perform well in the playoffs, in any playoff run, in no playoff run, not in 2019 and not last year, right? So what exactly now does Brock Purdy have to do? He has to just be better than that. And he might just be better than that by playing 3 quarters in one game at this point. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be like that, but it's literally the facts. Those Jimmy Garoppolo numbers, his numbers in the fourth quarter in playoff games are anemic. Anemic. I mean, all Brock Purdy has to do is complete 2 and 3 passes in those fourth quarters to have a higher passer rating than him in those quarters. I'm not trying to talk shit about Jimmy, I promise you. But I'm just trying to put your mind at ease. While you're worried about what Brock Purdy might be, I think Brock Purdy can clear those numbers. So unless something else goes wrong with this defense, unless something else goes wrong that's catastrophically wrong with like turnovers that turn into touchdowns, I don't see why you should necessarily be as worried with Purdy going in.
Yeah, I don't think there should be any worry at all. And let's be honest. Jimmy was a big part of the season. He really helped the 49ers get over the hump when Trey Lance went down and got them on the right track. But not only did he get them on the right track, but when he went down, I mean, this team accelerated when Brock Purdy came in. And I think you can't take your foot off the gas. Like, I can understand, like, maybe some people wanting Jimmy to be back in because, there's a certain loyalty that some people have to Jimmy Garoppolo. But if you're interested or concerned about this team winning at all, right now, I think they're proving that they're best suited with Brock Purdy as the quarterback, and that even includes, Trey Lance, if we really got to talk about it. I mean, obviously Trey Lance isn't walking through those doors anytime soon until OTAs, but Brock Purdy has been the best quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, not only this year, but in the Kyle Shanahan his entire tenure with the 49ers. So we got to keep this rolling. I think I'm a firm believer in ride the hot hand. I believe in momentum, and there's some momentum here that don't mess with it. Like if you got Jimmy Garoppolo coming back, 49ers have one of the better backup quarterbacks in the playoffs right now. And God forbid, knock on all the wood in existence, Brock Purdy, whatever, you know what I'm gonna say. You have a good quarterback that can come in and run the show with Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think that's a good place to be. And if Brock Purdy continues this storybook run, just let it play its course. I don't think you mess with anything.
Your best situation to look at in terms of this is, and listen to what I'm going to say. And again, you're going to jump in the chat and joke around and everything. But I want to point to a situation that's similar to this. The New England Patriots were struggling. Drew Bledsoe gets knocked off. This guy from Michigan comes into the game, right? Like this 12 guy, right? Okay.
Who went to all Michigan?
Of a sudden, Drew Henson.
Anyways, continue.
Drew Henson. So here's what I want to point out. During that season, Tom Brady was largely a game manager, a guy who was trying to just move the offense along, keep them on schedule, not put them in bad spots, not turn the ball over, let the defense do some things. Okay. I don't know if you guys remember, but in the AFC Championship game, he got injured. And they had the backup who was Drew Bledsoe. Now, Drew Bledsoe actually led that team in that in the AFC Championship or that Steelers game. I think it was the divisional, actually, because I think the AFC Championship was the AFC Championship game. The
AFC was against the Raiders, right? That was the tuck rule.
The tuck rule.
Yeah.
Either way,
AFC Championship. Yeah.
Either way, there was a playoff game in which Tom Brady got injured and Drew Bledsoe stepped in, and they kept on and they won the game. Guess what they did? They went right back to Brady, and guess what they did? They won the Super Bowl. My point is having another guy behind who can execute is a great thing, but you don't get rid of the kid who has put you in that position. I'm not saying anything about like Purdy being injured, and obviously I'm not telling you that Tom Brady is, Purdy is Tom Brady, which whatever, you guys are just gonna run with that and have some jokes with it. But that's your example. That is your example of why you have a backup who is capable in that way, right? If you need Jimmy to come in for 2 quarters, whatever it is, and you feel much better about that than you do anything. And then if Purdy's ready to go the next week, you go right back to Purdy. That was something that was the first championship that Bill Belichick ever won, was under a guy that was very similar to Brock Purdy, who nobody knew. And that's the same sort of sentiment that you should have going forward. So, yeah, I mean, just it's good to have him there. It's great to have him there, actually. But I don't think if you get to that NFC Championship game, you cannot mess with what's working at that point. And I don't think Shanahan will.
And also, that was such a crazy move back in the day because that year, the Patriots had made Drew Bledsoe the highest paid player in the history of the NFL. Like, they put their money where their mouth was, and they went away from him because of the momentum. So it's a great problem to get. It's not a problem. It's a great opportunity to get Jimmy Garoppolo back this year because I think, although we've I feel confident in Josh Johnson. I feel a little bit more confident with Jimmy Garoppolo back there in case anything does happen. So, but I think we ride forward with Brock Purdy and we feel comfortable about it. I feel really good about it.
I'm good.
We got a couple super chats, so let's run through some of these. Shout out Alberto for just sending the super chat. Appreciate it, man. We have Dean saying, "I'm not cooking Jimmy, but I'm cooking Jimmy." Jason, did you say?
No, it's basically he's saying because I'm just like, oh, I'm not trying
He's
to take shots at Jimmy.
paraphrasing.
People don't like when you bring up the postseason stats. Everybody brings up, well, why is it that they win all these games with him? And then you bring up the postseason stats and you look at where he ranks with like other quarterbacks who have played in the postseason. And obviously context matters. You didn't need to throw the ball against the Green Bay Packers. You didn't need to throw the ball against the Minnesota Vikings, who are trash, and God put them on the 49ers plate, please, so they can get sent home. But other times when you need a little bit more, it didn't happen. But when you look at the overall numbers, they're just not they're not jarring. They're not something that you need to sit back and be like, well, Purdy's got to do this. If Purdy does a little bit more than that, I think the 49ers would be in great shape.
Yeah, 100%. Jerome says, I've never been confident in Jimmy G to lead a comeback. It feels like we have a chance with Purdy. And, I think we all kind of clinch up a little bit when the game's on the line and you got to win it and the ball's in Jimmy's hands. You're like, there's two outcomes. One's good and one is a disaster. We don't know what's going to happen, but I'm sure a lot of us have some PTSD in that regard. And again, we're not trying to take shots at Jimmy. We're trying to be as honest and fair with the assessment as possible.
And I'm trying to ease your mind about Brock Purdy.
Yeah. 100%. Harold's testing. What's up, Harold? Appreciate the super chat. And he says, let's go 49ers. You worked. We got you. You're right here. And shout out 49ers throwback. We got this one in a while ago, but wanted to fit it in now. And we'll transition us into kind of our next topic. Says, hey, how's it going? Appreciate your shows. Do the 49ers have enough money to bring back Mike McGlinchey, or do they draft his replacement? What are your thoughts on this? Because this is a dollars and cents conversation.
And this is your topic to cook on also. Well, look,
but
I think
it's also a front office conversation.
No, it is. It is. I think when you look at how he's played, continuity, he was brought here to run this system. He loves it here. They love him in that building. I think they'll find a way to make it work. Here's the thing with drafting his replacement. If there's not a slam dunk, 100%, I know for a fact replacement that you have, right? And remember, the 49ers won't be drafting until the third or fourth round, right? Because they have their comp pick, right?
They have a lot of third rounds, but that's where they start their draft unless they trade up.
So the third round pick, in the third round, do you know if anything's a slam dunk at this point? Like, do you know if I mean, look, again, we go through this exercise all the time. It's less than about 40% in the first round that hit of the 32 teams, right? That draft, right? Then that number shrinks in the second round to almost half that. Then that number shrinks to half that in the third round. So I think that when you think about continuity, when you think about what he's been able to do with broken ribs, coming off this injury, you could only assume that he's going to be better health-wise next year and be better suited to help. I just think that they'll find a way to get it done, especially with the cap increase. I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I think all the points that you make are absolutely correct. The biggest thing that I believe is that there's going to be other bidders. I already see Bears fans campaigning to sign both Brendel and McGlinchey on the timeline. They don't have the same disdain that the 49er fan base has, and I don't think front offices will either. I think they're going to look at Mike McGlinchey as a plus starting offensive tackle or right tackle in this league, and that's what the 49ers, I think, are going to be up against in regards to re-signing him is
And
who else
let's
is
be
giving
clear.
him money, and what do they have to go and compete against, and do they then make the decision at that point to either sign him or have to find a plan B?
Right, and let's be clear, Brad. They're still going to be drafting all offensive line in the 3rd and 4th and 5th rounds. Like, we're not saying that you don't draft depth, but you don't know if you find a starter there. So you you continue.
You can find the starters in those rounds, but it is not a guarantee. You have to get the right guy. Like, it's just not you're going to walk into the 3rd round and draft a starting tackle. Like, those guys are the tackles are the guards are different story. Guard centers, you can find starting caliber guard centers in those rounds. It's the top tier tackles. Oh, they're gone, and their value is pushed up because tackles don't grow on trees and they're a rare commodity. So even if they are maybe say a mid second round talent, second, third, they are going to be pushed up just for pure scares. It's a supply and demand model. You need offensive linemen, and the guys are going to GMs are going to take shots a little earlier on tackles because let's face it, it's really hard to develop tackles, especially in this day and age in the NFL. So we can try, but it's not a foregone conclusion that you're going to hit. And if you don't hit, and you don't feel totally confident with Jalen Moore. I mean, Jalen Moore's had his moments, and he's also had his bad moments, and you kind of got to weigh that out if that's something you feel comfortable with. Colton McKivitz, maybe. I don't know. At least with Mike, we've gotten like 8 weeks in a row of this guy balling out, and it hasn't been perfect, and it never will be for an offensive lineman. But again, I think they should re-sign him. I think they're going to attempt to. My thing is, who else is going to come to sign Mike McGlinchey, and who can potentially draw? I mean, let's face it, this fan base hasn't done themselves any favors in bringing him back. So if he gets an offer that's comparable or better, I don't fault Mike McGlinchey one bit for signing for a higher dollar value elsewhere, even if he does love the organization internally and all that stuff. Like if someone comes knocking and they give him the bag, I appreciate you, Mike. I love you guys. I got love for Mike, but go get your money, man, and do what you got to do. Like you don't take a discount just because we're the 49ers. And if another team's coming and they're going to pay you, you deserve it. And fresh start too.
And my thing is with the increase of all the money that's going to happen and the cap increases, that doesn't mean necessarily him with all the money this year. I'm sure that Mike is going to try to find if the 49 if he doesn't come back, it'll be more because the 49ers don't want to bring him back than Mike just outright leaving, in my opinion. I think that if the 49ers come
too
to
much, they don't want to they have a figure and they're not going to budge off that.
Right. Or if the 49ers come to him and say, listen, this first year we can give you only this, but when the cap increases, we'll give you this. And then it increases again, we'll give you this. There's going to be some way for them to figure that out. So I have much more confidence in this happening just based on the relationship, based on the way that this front office and this organization loves him and how much he does like to be here, regardless of how much shit he takes from everybody, So, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at him either if he dipped, at least with that.
And Dean, listen, Dean says, I'd rather sign Brad at right tackle instead of Mike McGlinchey. Listen, you have me playing right tackle out there. My DMs would be a disaster because you guys would be cooking me if I'm out here playing right tackle against the.
And I would be cutting up all 22 clips like, see, Brad's not playing that bad if you actually watch it and you understand O-line play. See, the quarterback's got to get the ball out faster, and Brad's actually showing good technique here. By letting the guy run right by him, he's showing good technique in this way.
So the kick step is beautiful. Hand placement,
beautiful step,
perfect. He just failed completely after that. You got to tip your cap to the other side. They get paid millions of dollars too.
Sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the opponent. He did what he could. I don't know why you guys are all on his back, man. Brad's doing the best he can. No, not me, a slot. I got no hands. I got worse ball skills than Diamador Lenore at this point. Do not let me be there, please.
That's funny, man. Yeah, no, you would. The offense would be immovable if I was out here playing right tackle, man. Dean says I would defend Brad's DMs to the death. Well, I love you, Dean, and I appreciate you.
Dean would be Jon Snow with the fucking sword out, with everybody just coming at him.
Hey, we all need a Dean in our corner, right? When things get a little hairy, we need some of those guys. So I appreciate you, Dean. I really do.
And I am going to try out for punter. Tony says I'm trying out for punter.
Oh, that would be a good one.
I might be able to boom it 38 yards, but that's not that far.
Yeah, about like a 20-foot max hang time. Let's see. We got another super chat. Where did it go? We'll do our best to manage this one. Preston, we are going to have more of our what did the 49ers do at quarterback. We're going to save a lot of that talk for the offseason. But
I
Preston
think he's replying to
I
somebody
haven't read
in the
it
chat.
yet.
Yeah, so I think he's replying to somebody in the chat that has been talking about, like, can you get a first for Trey? I could be mistaken, but yeah, but go ahead, you can read it.
Let me try it. I haven't really read it fully through. So why would the Niners ever dream to trade Trey? Not going to get back what they gave up, which I agree, for him, and they'd have a great young cheap quarterback room for years to come. Okay, I misjudged. I saw Trey and I was like, sirens started going off, and I was like, uh-oh. But no, that's a good point. I think the point is 100% valid.
Preston, that's a reasonable, level-headed take. Are you sure? Are you sure?
Are
you sure? Are you sure you're a 49ers Twitter partaker? Are you sure you're a 49ers fan? This is far too reasonable. This is far too.
This is how you know we are like in the trenches, because I saw the word Trey and I was like, I saw Trey and trade and I was like, oh God. I was like,
Preston must not partake on 49ers Twitter. He must value his mental health. He doesn't partake on 49ers Twitter or anything like that. Preston,
yeah, this is too reasonable, man.
I'm gonna need you to stop drinking the water and pick up some wine or something, man. Like you gotta get on this.
Jason's vibe.
It's this. It's either you're completely insane about the whole situation, or you're just like completely dismissive of it. There's no way that you could be in the middle like this. Such a good take. So look. The 49ers would have, let's see, theoretically next year, a quarterback room of Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. And that costs them net cost almost zero at this point, right? Now,
in regards to like average starting quarterback play, pennies.
Average starting quarterback play is about $20 million a year. Even getting Jimmy Garoppolo for what they got him for
25, 30 now with the cap inflections and everything.
100%. What you're looking at here, and this is why, if I could throw some optimism into the conversation,
we like
Brock and Trey next year, and we're talking about, can you bring back McGlinchey? Yes, you can, because you're not paying them anything. Do you want to bring in another impact player? Yes, you can, because you're not paying them anything. You want to, make a play for a trade partner in the middle of the year? Yes, you can now because of the cap increase. This is the right way of thinking about it. It's, again, fans are so infatuated with draft picks, recoup draft picks. What are the draft picks? Yeah, but when that draft pick becomes Trey Sermon, when that draft pick becomes someone that you
Joe Williams,
things like that, right? You hate it, right? Yeah. For me, insulate yourself with this room. And if this year was any lesson on everybody, is to have as many good options as you can. And then when they cost nothing, this was the reason many of us wanted Jimmy Garoppolo out of here last year, was because, damn, look at all this money he's taking up. What can we sign? What can we sign?
We got like Charvarius Ward, but I think that's kind of, we couldn't really add too much after that.
So that's what I'm saying. Like right now, it needs to be this because it costs you nothing and it allows you to insulate them with talent on both sides of the ball. You could literally do whatever you want at this point. Let's say Emmanuel Mosley walks, knock on wood. Well, now you can go out there and you can get yourself another second cornerback with this extra money that you have freed up. This is the stuff that you need to start to think about. I think this is the exact right take by Preston. And Preston, I've got to ask, man, you're not from 49ers Twitter. I don't think at all, man. I really don't think you are. I mean, it's too reasonable. It is too reasonable.
He said, y'all caught me on a good day. I haven't ripped my hair out yet from Niners Twitter.
Hey, 10-game winning streaks will do that, man. Even me, like, waking up in the morning when I have to write my article for Niners Nation, I'm like, man, this is a vibe. Dude, Niners win 10 in a row. Hey, the Giants stink. The Vikings are frauds. The Packers are eliminated. I'm like, this is all vibes. Like,
oh, my gosh. It's a good time right now, man. Like, these conversations have obviously gone a lot worse than this, but I do think that's a very level-headed take. And I also don't believe in selling a player that you're going to get the least value for. Like, off an injury, 4 games, no one knows what Trey Lance is. So who's buying right now and who's going to buy at a premium? I would say no one. And in that instance, that's bad business. Like, why would you be selling an asset that you bought at arguably the highest premium in the history of the draft and selling him for pennies, without you even really knowing what he is? Right. That to me just doesn't make sense. So it's like, I think next year, the San Francisco 49ers going in with Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and what happens. This year, competition. We don't got to worry about that. But next year, best man wins. Competition. That's how we roll. So, and we'll have a lot of spirited conversations about that this offseason, which is why it's going to be a good offseason. Isn't it wild, though, Jason? Just a quick kind of offseason tidbit, because we were already getting it a couple weeks ago. They were talking about, Tom Brady, 49ers quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, 49ers quarterback. If Brock Purdy plays well enough and goes far enough, can he erase that conversation where it's like, we feel good with just Brock Purdy and Trey Lance next year as a 49ers quarterback?
I think you do, especially when Tom Brady's not going to be here for $1 million. Aaron Rodgers is not going to be here for $2 million. Like, they're not just coming over here to just say that they wanted to play for their hometown team. They're going to come over here and say, I want 40.
Give me the veteran we'll play on the veteran discount, the veteran minimum. That's fine.
Absolutely not, man. And look, again, when you look back after the 2019 season, it was reported that Tom Brady wanted to come over here. I was still in lockstep with, and obviously I was wrong. I was lockstep with that front office and saying, you know what, man, run it back with Jimmy. He can only get better. You can only do more things. He's going to play another full season. He can only grow. But at this point, I think you let the guys roll, man, and you roll in with that cheap quarterback room, and you are able to stack this team with more talent that would lift more of that responsibility off of their shoulders. And that's what this quarterback system and this team has been the entire time that Kyle Shanahan has been here.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, hey, we're going to have a fun offseason. But, we don't got to look too far ahead because we got the Seahawks, man.
We fun? We fun? No. Training camp's going to be is going to be insane. It's going to be a war. It's going to be a vibe. It's already a war.
It's going to be so good.
It's already a war. People on Twitter, I'm not giving up on Trey. Just save it for the offseason, dude. Just save it for the offseason. No one's telling you to give up on Trey. I want you to give up on the conversation at this point. That's it. I believe in Trey. Great. Wait and hold. Save that in the draft. Save that in the drafts. And then put it back out when we get to training camp. I don't need to hear that right now. Nobody needs to hear it. And it's unfortunate that the only way that people can drive engagement on Twitter is by mentioning Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, 2 guys that are injured and are not playing football with this team that is 110 straight.
It's like we can just talk about Brock, and that's fine. And that's not a detriment to either one of the quarterbacks.
You should only be talking about the guy who's playing. I still believe in Trey Lance. Great for you, bro. Nobody cares. That's next year. Christ, man. Why are you giving up? No one's giving up. There's only one quarterback to talk about, man. You know what I want to start saying?
Literally, only one quarterback is healthy. Like, what are we talking about?
I want to start. You know what I'm going to start doing? I want Josh Johnson to get more reps. Like, I just don't understand why you guys have such an infatuation with trying to drive engagement by talking about guys who are not on the field. Like, I don't understand, man. Like, next year, off season, we'll have plenty of time to kill each other and bring our swords out.
Yeah,
but
man.
I'm not giving up on Trey Lance. It sounds like you want to put that out there. So if something does happen with Trey, you can pull your receipt and say, told you, I didn't give up on Trey Lance. Nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares.
That's for the audits later in the year. That's so that they can audit their reports. But unfortunately, it goes the opposite way as well. So just be careful with the receipts that you put out there, because you could be trying to set yourself up for what you believe. but that could backfire on you. And then you're just 2 miles down the river, no paddle, and you're just trying to save face at that point. So that's why it's like some guys are out here fighting battles that they're just setting themselves up for. It's just like just talk about bro.
I'm just reading. This is how I read the tweets. Oh, I'm not giving up on Trey Lance. I'm like, bro. I'm like, no one gives a shit, man. Like, get your 400 likes. Cool, because you got a bunch of people that are on your side, but you are literally embarrassing yourself right now. There's 53 men on this team. This team has won 10 straight games. Your coach should win Coach of the Year. You got the Defensive Player of the Year. You've got all these great things you could talk about, but it's Jimmy Garoppolo deserves a ton of credit. Shut the fuck up, bro. Like, nobody cares.
I needed a laugh like that. It's been a while.
Sorry.
No, that was good. This is cathartic because we talk, you and I of a lot of people, like we get in front of these cameras, man, and we deal with a lot of fans, and we put out takes, we put out things, and we get a lot of feedback. So it's good to laugh a little bit.
No, and look, and we like to have fun here on State of the Franchise. Hey, this is playoff. This is playoff State of the Franchise.
We're vibing, baby.
We're vibing, baby. We out here playing the Seahawks, and we haven't even talked about them yet at this point.
We haven't even talked about the Seahawks.
It's like we're out here. We out here bullshitting about this and that. We haven't even talked about the game yet.
I know. But I guarantee you it's entertaining. So let's see. We got Forever Faithful saying we go in Super Bowling. CMC MVP. Let's try to steer it back away from the quarterbacks and maybe talk about a different position. When was the last time, man, we're heading into the playoffs or this deep into the season, and we look at the 49ers running back room, and it is as healthy as can be. CMC. You got Elijah Mitchell return 2 touchdowns in his game back. Jordan Mason almost had a tuggy. It ended up going to George Kittle. But even TDP showing flashes, man. Like the running back room, and we know, like we're talking a lot about Brock, right? And rightfully so. But this is still a run-first football team. They still want to set the tone and run the football and pound the rock. Like how does that bode well for the 49ers matchup against the Seattle Seahawks? The Seahawks lost Jordan Brooks, probably their best middle linebacker.
That's crazy.
Their defense really hasn't been that stout. It feels like a pretty solid matchup, right? Especially with the way the running backs are healthy right now and getting back and for this matchup against the Seahawks. And by all accounts, looks like it's going to be dumping. I was trying to reverse Juju it, but it didn't work. It looks like it's gonna dump.
What is up with California, dude? Everybody has been clamoring and telling me like, yo, you need to move out here. Y'all not steering me in this direction over there right now. It looks like day after tomorrow in Cali. Meanwhile, it's 45 degrees on the East Coast, and we haven't even had a snowstorm yet. What are we doing over here, man? Like,
bro,
what is going on
in Lake Tahoe, about 4 hours away from me? It is dumping snow, like 6-7 feet, and it's just gonna keep going. It's wild, man. It's wild out here.
What God did you piss off, man? What did you do? Like, what is going on, man? Like, how is it worse over there than it is over here? It is.
They're seeing they see the price of rent across the state of California, or like this is payback for making all.
It's January 11th, right? And on the East Coast, where all it does is snow, it's the worst thing ever. It's not even snowed once, I think, while we're over here. Like, so yeah, whatever. Climate change aside. I mean, if it does rain, this completely lends itself to the 49ers. I mean, you can run the ball with 3 guys now. I mean, Elijah Mitchell only had 11 snaps. He had 2 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell can be on the field at the same time. And I think you saw a little bit of that. Christian McCaffrey is an incredible route runner, by the way. Hey, by the way, did we give up too much for Christian McCaffrey? No. Anyway, it's more about what you can do, what you know you can do, what their strength is, strength on strength, right? When it's raining, what do I believe in? In that game in week 1, everybody wants to point to the 49ers ran the ball for 173 yards, and they had a mobile quarterback and somebody who the game plan was to run him as well, too. It just lends itself to that. As long as the 49ers don't give up any coverage busts, anything like that, this is exactly playing into the 49ers' hands, let alone it being at home. But now having this monster of a backfield now, Jordan Mason can come in and be the closer now. this lends itself exactly to what the 49ers want to do. So the 49ers have shown you that they can win however you need them to win. You want us to run the ball down your throat, whatever, fine, we'll do that. You want us to pass and beat you, we can do that. They can do whatever they want. If the defense plays the way that it is, I mean, the 49ers don't have to do much on offense, and they've been doing the most on offense the last 5-6 weeks with Brock Purdy. So, yeah, this completely lends itself to the 49ers, and I actually think that the rain is advantage 49ers.
I mean, started the season in a monsoon. The first game against Seattle week 2, it sprinkled for about the first half. It rained on them. Was it Tampa Bay? Yeah, it rained in Tampa Bay in the second half. So, and they've been practicing all week in the rain. So, if there's any team that's going to be prepared for it at least, or kind of, not going to be just completely taken aback from it, I think it's going to be the 49ers. So, again, I don't want it to rain because I want to see good football, and I don't want to see the actual conditions dampen it, but it is what it is. You can't control it at this point. And, Mother Nature's letting it pour on California right now. So we'll got to deal with it. We heard about this earlier. Adam Peters declined 2 interviews, one with the Cardinals, one with the Titans. I don't know if that is I don't know if it's exactly meaning that Peters is not going to be looking for a general manager position. It could maybe, but Kev's saying Peters for GM, Lynch for president, and you have a take. So what's your take?
I do. So look, that's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see that Adam Peters doesn't want to interview. But allow me to throw out something else. What you guys are forgetting is the people that are carrying on business right now don't have playoff games. And there will be openings for playoff teams. A playoff team will get bounced on Saturday and start conducting business on Sunday. And all of a sudden, new openings open. But here's the take. Is Adam Peters going with DeMeco Ryans? Is that your package deal to wherever it is that they go? Is Adam Peters slow playing this thing right now because, one, the job isn't enticing. Nobody wants to go to Arizona. They're in trouble.
Yeah, they're dumpster fire.
Tennessee, he won't be able to choose his own coach because Mike Vrabel's there. And why should he choose his own coach? Mike Vrabel's a great coach.
Yeah.
But does anybody ever get the feeling that Adam Peters is kind of trying to see what DeMeco Ryans is going to do? Because then he can just go with him. And if DeMeco Ryans says, we're bringing him and he's with me, why wouldn't you want that?
That's a great take. I think that's a phenomenal take. And that actually makes a lot of sense. And that's a good point. I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. What better way to start your rookie general manager career and your rookie head coaching career with 2 guys who clearly know each other, have a working relationship. Clearly, Adam Peters is drafting these guys for DeMeco Ryans to develop. Package deal, that makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Pull up that MG comment real quick. That last one, 539, the latest one.
This one.
The Niners have only lost 4 games this season. You stupid fucking idiot. Keep going. And then go. Keep going, Brad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your.
I don't care. Oh my gosh, I love it. Hey, and this guy's been crying the whole time too. So clearly a sad little, I would assume, Seahawks fan. So get cooked by Jason. Don't feel bad for you at all. He says we lost 4 straight. When? What is it? You talking about last year?
When did we do that, bro? When did that happen? When the fuck did we do that?
Hey, if you're gonna come talking, at least know what you're talking about. I mean, come on, man. Just absolutely looking like a doofus out here. Anyways, but what? I don't even know what the hell we're talking about because
no. You were all right. So I said DeMeco and Adam Peters might be the actual package to go.
Yeah, and that's a great point, and I think that's probably what's going to happen. That makes a lot of sense, and why wouldn't you do it that way? So, but we still don't got to worry about that quite yet. We'll see what's going to go down the pipe. Are you concerned about the Seattle's offense? Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett against Deommodore Lenoir, Hufanga, Gibson, Mooney. What are your thoughts on those skill positions versus our secondary?
Tyler Lockett is somebody that I think about. When you look at Week 15, he split his 47 snaps, half in the slot, half out wide. The other slot receiver for the Seattle Seahawks is a familiar face for 49er fans, Marquise Goodwin. So that would imply that Jimmy Ward is going to have his hand full trying to stop both speedy guys, right? Now, the rain, obviously you can't throw the football the way that you like, but I'm more worried about them being able to manipulate a way to isolate either Hufanga or Gibson. And Jimmy Ward's been great. Like, I'm good. Like, Jimmy's going to play his keys. He knows exactly when he has help, when he doesn't, and he knows that he can give himself enough cushion to do that. The Tyler Lockett thing is a little bit more concerning than it is DK. I know that Charvarius doesn't travel, but when Charvarius is on him as clamps, I believe that he's only given up 38 yards on 6 catches to DK Metcalf.
Did DK or did Charvarius mirror DK in that Week 15 game, or am I making?
No, he didn't. He didn't mirror him. No. So
okay,
again,
so he played just one side.
Mooney doesn't move. Like, he doesn't move, so he plays one side.
Okay.
But when he's over there, they it's clamps. Like, when it's done like that. Sometimes what I kind of noticed is that they kind of were just throwing Goodwin over there on the side sometimes with Mooney to just kind of throw him out there and just like get rid of him, and then like have Lockett and DK on better matchups. So look, I'm not necessarily worried about their offense, but if there was one guy that kind of makes you nervous, it's Tyler Lockett, because he has game-breaking speed and he can, from the slot, cause problems. So, yeah, I mean, that would be the only thing that is a concern. But, other than that, I mean, the Seattle Seahawks have scored 1 touchdown in 8 quarters of football against the San Francisco 49ers. And for the people that are worried about, well, you can't beat them 3 straight times, I would argue that the Rams were much closer to the 49ers last season than Seattle is this season. And if you need any more proof than just the regular season, the last game, the Rams should have beat them like 3 different times. They should have been eliminated as well. We should be talking about us playing the Detroit Lions at this point. So, again, I have a hard time figuring out how the Seattle Seahawks exactly do something that scares the 49ers, unless we're just going off simply vibes and past history.
Are you worried about the 3-game thing? Like,
I'm not with Seattle.
That effective?
No, not with Seattle. Again, I was much more worried about it with the Rams, because those games always go down to the wire. They're so evenly matched. You're telling me that you're going to win 1 touchdown games every single time against an evenly matched opponent? Probably not. With this team, I don't think that they're close enough to them for that to be a concern. Like I said, 1 touchdown in 8 quarters, that's abysmal. That's abysmal. So again, and the 49ers are healthy, right? Kevin Gibbons is coming back in this game. Eric Armstead's back, fully. Javon Kinlaw is getting ramped up. There's things right now that are in the 49ers' favor. So I believe too much in this defense. I believe too much in DeMeco Ryans to be overly worried. But again, styles make fights, and if there is going to be any problems, it'll probably be from Tyler Lockett more than it is DK Metcalf.
I could see that, quicker, shiftier type wide receiver, could break free a little bit. DK is fast, but he's straight line fast. It's kind of more of like a jump ball, if you had to type receiver. So I could definitely see how that all works out. But it is going to be an interesting matchup, because I think, you actually kind of pointed it out before I even really was, before it was like a glaring issue, or it was like, oh, okay, the secondary does look like there's some opportunities that can be a little leaky. You brought that to my attention before before it was like a glaring issue. You're like, oh, the secondary. And then we saw like 2 weeks in a row, the secondary kind of being a little suspect in areas. So it is going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. But I think overall, the Seahawks are the Seahawks this year. And the 49ers have beat them. that Week 15 game was weird because they controlled the entire game, but it turned out to be a one possession game down the stretch.
The
So
score
it was
did not show the discrepancy.
it was what that was. I think that was a helpful reminder for this team who we've seen give up huge leads in the past. Like you think about the Detroit game in Week 1,
right?
What? Go ahead.
No, and Brock was injured.
The
oblique was way worse than people believed it to be. So
I read a report that he had to go in and get an injection after going out and throwing in the warm-ups, and he couldn't throw like 10-15 yards, so they had to go give him an injection. And then he was able to come out and play,
and he's fine now. And and look how well he played in that game. So I mean, and then look, when you look at that game, Ayuk had a drop in that game that would have probably finished that game way earlier than it took Jordan Mason to basically close it out with that long run. You were at the game. It's again, the talent discrepancy is there. If this team is what we think they are and they find a way to lose this game, which I'm absolutely don't believe that they will, then they never deserved, obviously, to be where we thought they would be anyway, right? Because it's one and done, right? Like that seems like the obvious thing to say. But if this team is what you think it is, the range shouldn't bring this game to a level where you start to get like absolutely nervous. I think if you want to look at Week 1, you can look at Week 1 and say that offense is not this offense. Close your ears, guys. I'm going to say something that you're probably going to get upset about, but this offense right now with Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, and all these guys healthy is better than an offense that you saw in Week 1 with Trey Lance and Elijah Mitchell, who got injured in that game, right? Like, I'm not even trying to like start anything, but this team is shown too much these last few weeks for you to point to a Week 1 game as your data point for the reason that this team gives you concern. And I don't think that that's true. I think that if we know the 49ers, if you know this team, if you watch them, they're going to do enough over fourth quarters to get this done. I could see a blowout. I could see them squeaking by. The only thing I see is a win. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this is a winnable game. I do think the rain kind of maybe evens it out, just a little bit. But I do think the 49ers have an opportunity to take care of business. Tony says, Brad, do you have an assessment on how well the Seahawks offensive line has been playing lately? Will the Niners D-line be able to quickly pressure? I did evaluate their offensive line the couple times they played the 49ers this year. Again, Abe Lucas is one of my favorite prospects ever, just because we were at the combine this year, Jason and I, and he was a prospect that jumped off to me in warmups. And after watching him go through the combine, then watching the tape, Abe Lucas was a draft crush of mine instantly, and he's proven to be one of the better rookie offensive tackles in the league. And across from him, Charles Cross as well, who was their first-round draft pick. He's been a very good offensive tackle as well, even as a rookie. Now, when you go back and you watch the games versus the San Francisco 49ers, I mean, Abe Lucas had some impressive wins against Nick Bosa. Like, I remember I was, watching the tape at night, and I'm shooting some clips over to Jordan Elliott, our good friend over at Niners Nation. I'm like, look at Abe Lucas. I was like, this is not natural for this guy to be doing this to Nick Bosa. So there's talent there, but you can also see opportunities where they are rookies and they are susceptible to getting beat based on the way Nick Bosa will set them up. Like, you had plays in Week 15 where Charles Cross got some nice dubs against Nick Bosa, and then you had other plays where Nick Bosa made Charles Cross look like a rookie. So I think it's a bit of both. Like, they are above average rookie tackles, but they're still rookie tackles, and they're still susceptible to getting beat. I think Gabe Jackson has been doing a good job over there. I think he's playing right guard, and their other center and guard. I think they have a definitely, slightly above average offensive line considering their inexperience and what they have. What do you got?
Gonna be funny to see Jason cry like a little girl when the Niners lose to the Vikings. Bruh, beat the Giants first before if you lose to the Giants, bruh, don't fucking show your faceless ass up in here, bro, because we are gonna fry you. It took a 61-yard field goal for you to beat the New York Football Giants. Ooh, you don't want these problems, man. I would put the Vikings on the plate.
Spicy Pronto is coming for your neck.
Put the Vikings on the plate.
Chill.
Put them on the plate. They food. It is barbecue chicken. Are you playing with that soft ass team? Kirk Cousins don't win primetime games. What are you talking about, bro? Anyway, yeah.
Brad, we got New York Jay popping out.
Brad, back to your thoughtful analysis of actual games and not some nonsense.
We had New York Jay pop out there for a second. Hey, also, will the Niners D-line be able to quickly pressure? I think they'll be able to, especially with Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, T.Y. McGill. I think he's been playing lights out. He's been balling. Kevin Givens is going to be coming back. So I think the 49ers defensive line is as strong as it's been all year. And
Jordan Willis, man.
In the play. Jordan Willis, great point. Like,
how do we get Jordan Willis going crazy? How do we get Jordan Willis a card in the Bay Area that doesn't allow him to pay for food or drink anywhere, man? I mean, the guy already blocked the punt that sent the 49ers to the NFC Championship game. And every week I look up and this man is either sacking the quarterback or he's causing a fumble. Like, Jordan Willis, man, like, what a find. And this front office again does it.
Yeah, he's been great. In the D-line right now, again, we talked about it at the beginning of the year of being the strongest position group, on the entire roster. They got injured really quickly, but they were able to have guys step up and still be a strong group. Now heading into the playoffs, it's the healthiest they have been all season and at the right time. And again, how often does that happen? Greatness says, cook him, Jason.
Nobody's scared of the Vikings. I'm as scared of the Vikings as I was the Packers. And the Packers washed the Vikings. Washed them.
Yeah, the Vikings have proven to be a bit fraudulent. And so we'll see if they can even escape their playoff game against the Giants. Preston says, as we start to wrap up our playoff state of the franchise, Preston says, in that scenario that we were talking about earlier with D'Amico and Adam Peters kind of combo tandem, he's saying hard to find a place that seems like the stars are aligned. Do you have any idea of where those two could potentially land if they were D'Amico Ryans and Adam Peters were to go together to a team? Yeah.
Ooh, I don't think that the Jets are going to move on from Robert Saleh. I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh yeah, they fired LaFleur. Was that today that they fired LaFleur?
Yeah, they did. But I don't think they're getting rid of Robert Saleh. I think that they view him as the actual solution, not the problem, right?
Yeah, they just need better solutions on
quarterback play. They need better quarterback play, and Breece Hall is going to play next year, right? The Chargers are a team that's very interesting when it comes to that. Obviously, you want an offensive coach, and everybody talks about Sean Payton, but I think Sean Payton's still waiting for Mike McCarthy to get fired. I'm still not going to get up off of that. Indy, I feel like, is a glove in hand fit with Harbaugh. I mean,
yeah, I do. I agree with that.
I think it's Harbaugh and Carr. And if Derek Carr was ever looking for a coach that would believe in him, it's Jim Harbaugh, just like Alex Smith. I think we've got to figure out more openings before I can really nail one down. The one that you guys don't want to hear is Arizona. That's the one that you definitely don't want to hear, right? I don't like that idea at all. But, you do have a quarterback that, people deem a franchise quarterback in place. They have to do a lot more work there than they would in other places. I'm not sure that D'Amico and Adam Peters are ready to just jump into a win now situation. It could be, something where they do want to build something up. But it's hard to say right now because I do think that there are playoff teams that are going to fire their general manager and their coach. Let's say the Chargers go out there and they lose to the Jaguars. Brandon Staley's fired, right? He has to be fired at this point, right? He cost them one playoff berth and then they lose to the Jaguars. He's fired. So that Chargers one opens up. That Sean Payton and Dallas thing, I think, is too heavy, and I think that Tom Brady has a chance to really knock them out of the playoffs this week. This secondary is suspect as hell.
Broncos aren't an option, right?
Broncos, I don't know, man. That one actually feels a little bit more intriguing.
But they kind of been building that defense to kind of be like the 49ers. I mean, they got three former 49ers.
All right, so Adam already turned down the Cardinals. Yeah, you guys are right about that. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm just going to stick to I don't know, and we've got to wait for playoff teams to fire other people.
I think that's fair. Harris says we got 400 watching, and remember, we got the dual stream going up. Only 97 likes. We can get more. than 97 likes. He thinks that we can get up to 200 likes. And again, we're on both channels. Smash that like button on both channels if you haven't already. Before we get out of here, Keith Murphy says Sean Payton is not going anywhere where he has to answer to a boss. Dallas is the least likely place I have him going. Interesting.
Dallas the least? Well, the only reason that I say Sean Payton there is because he's a Parcells disciple. It just feels like Jerry Jones is
feels like Jerry would trust him to make the decisions. Like he doesn't trust who was that before? Garrett, whatever his name was, the ginger. And then McCarthy, maybe Peyton gets a little bit more leash.
They gotta win. They gotta win soon. And I think that Sean Payton gives them the validity to do that. And they wouldn't be scared of trading a first-round pick for him or 2 first-round picks. Like, I really don't. Like, so I think that because of the Parcells connection and Dallas being desperate because, Mike McCarthy's PFF subscription just, wasn't renewed in January. So, yeah, I mean, I would just say that only because I'm trying to connect dots. And I know Jerry Jones and how desperate he can get.
Yeah, so it is going to be interesting to see how everything plays out, but I do think we got a ways to go. Going to be very interesting to see what the outcome of this playoff game is. Again, I think one of the bigger stories, I'm looking at it right now, it's 100% chance of rain in Santa Clara, and it's going to be raining from basically today till then and all the way through the next week.
Well,
so
and the other thing
interesting.
Isn't the rain like moving further and further like before kickoff? Like it's starting to look like it's more towards kickoff than it is anything else?
I'm only having overview of just the entire day. I don't have the kind of like drilled down micro forecast, but it could be. We'll find out though. It's probably going to be wet regardless. So also Keith says, and he stepped on Parcells' toes with TO acquisition. So there's going to be plenty of off-season moves, talks. We're going to figure out where D'Amico's going to go. I think we both agree that D'Amico's going to be a head coach somewhere, right? Like he's deserving of it. He's earned that right to be a head coach in this league, and I think he's going to be one of the better head coaches in the NFL and rather quickly. So it is going to be very interesting.
Sean Payton to replace McVay. Keith, do you think that Sean Payton's going to go over there knowing that they don't have a first-round pick until I'm 75 and Averly is already going to be like a Nobel Peace Prize winner? I don't know, man. That seems like a lot. McVay ran from it.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, McVay's running, which is crazy, which is a crazy development. The Rams are falling apart from the inside out. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Aaron Donald potentially retires because he already was flirting with that, got the bag. Maybe it's like, screw this. I'm just going to retire. Jalen Ramsey's a head case. So we'll see what's going to go down. There's going to be a lot of speculation of who gets hired where. But overall, I think, what?
You want to laugh?
What do you got for me?
I don't know how someone did this. So this is from JJ9MM on Instagram. We're literally streaming right now, and this is what we've got going on right now. All right.
No. Oh.
No, hold on.
Is that a chef's hat? No. Bro, send me that, please.
Yo, bro, it's literally like I think it's the Mario filter. Like look at how big like your nose and everything is. Also,
bro, look at the stash. That stash looking nice though. I might have to adopt that. Look at out here cooking. Definitely send me that. Send me that. Shout out to whoever made that. That's hilarious.
JJ_9MM on Instagram, man. Oh my god.
Shout out JJ.
What
we got a couple more. We got a couple more super chats. Val says, "Is there one team that concern you? The Niners cannot beat. Who would that be?"
Philly. Look, let's put it on the table. There's a tier in the NFC. It's Philly and the Niners, and then it's a jumble of everybody else at this point, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Philly doesn't have holes. That's my part. Like this is what gets me nervous about Philly. You look at them and you see Bradbury and Slay. You see that defensive line. You see that offensive line. You see those weapons at wide receiver. You see what Jalen Hurts has been able to do. They don't have holes. They don't have holes. It's Philly.
They got a great offensive line to go up against 49ers' great defensive line.
It is Philly, man. It's Philly. That's it. That is all I'm worried about. It's just they are so stacked, man. And the 49ers would have to go to Philly, which only just adds a little bit more to it. The 49ers are well equipped to get it done and beat them there. But if I was concerned, I was not concerned about the Packers last week. Definitely not concerned about anybody else in the NFC at this point. It's the Philadelphia Eagles, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there in the NFC title game.
I think at this point in the season, there's the power four. It's going to be the Eagles. It's going to be the Bills and the Chiefs from the AFC. So 49ers, Eagles, Chiefs, Bills. Like those four teams right now feel like the heavy hitters in the NFC and the AFC. And it's going to be really difficult to see which one of those teams comes out on top, especially if they play each other. It's going to be it's going to be a dog fight.
Guys, in the comments, relax, guys, relax. And look, and so this comment: the Commanders beat the Eagles, the Bears beat the Niners.
Yeah,
the Falcons beat the Niners. Doesn't matter. That was just one game. That's a divisional game. The Commanders are not better than the Eagles. The Falcons aren't better than the Niners. The Bears aren't better than the Niners. Things happen. So if your point is anybody can be beat, that's always the fair point. That can always happen. But nah, man. Like I'm not gonna look at the Eagles and say, well, the Commanders beat them. Well, yeah, that just proves that anybody can beat them, but that doesn't mean that they're bad in any way.
I watched that game. It was just one of those games where it was like the football gods weren't on their side. They had weird fumbles at weird times. It was just a weird game. So yeah, I hear you there. Keith also says LA players trade, get picks back, start the rebuild. Either way, the Rams are cooked. So we're not too worried about them moving forward, at least at this point. So we got playoff football, Jason. Definitely looking forward to it. Of course, hope we come away with the W. I think the Seattle Seahawks are definitely beatable, especially even in the third matchup. I think they can take care of them, and I believe you feel the same, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, beating teams 3 times in this league, there's a ton of parity. I understand, makes sense. But the Rams were far closer to the 49ers than the Seahawks team is. It would take the 49ers just like flat out falling on their face, I think, in this game for this to happen.
Yeah, the 49ers are in that one of those rare spots where if they just play their game, they're going to win majority, then they lose. Like if they just do what they need to do, take care of the football, play fundamentally sound, don't get beat on offense or on defense in, bad plays, the 49ers are going to come out with a W. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think we're all feeling pretty good about it. Again, there's some people that are a little concerned, but I think, that's some old Russell Wilson PTSD, and which I can understand.
And humility is fine. Yeah. I love that. Right? Yeah. Right? I love that. Humility is fine. It
look
shows
at Pete Carroll.
Character. Right. Oh, no. He's playing mind games. That's different.
He is.
No. I fucking see the difference. That's completely different. That's not humility. That's a man that is trying to lull the 49ers to sleep. No.
That's reverse juju.
I see right through that. What I meant to say for 49er fans who are being humble is it's a sign of your character. You don't treat anybody less, anything like that. Me, on the other hand, I'm going to turn up. Like, that's different. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got the 49ers winning this game, and I'm not really too worried about it. But humility is an amazing quality to have in any walk of life and as a 49er fan. So, yeah. But, what Pete Carroll's doing, that's completely mind games. And I see right through that bullshit.
100%. We know what the message is inside that building. Everyone's counting us out. No one expects us to be here. Everyone thinks we don't deserve to be here. let's whoop these Niners, man. So and we know the vibes. He's not going to. They're not going to lay down. I don't think they are. I think they're going to show up. So the 49ers just got to play their game, take care of business, and advance. That's the name of the game. It's
Even
one
Tyler
game
Lockett
season from what was that?
Even Tyler Lockett is doing it. It's us against the world. Like,
Yeah, I saw that.
You see that? Like,
yeah.
The 49ers kind of had that in 2019 because nobody believed that they can keep that going. So they kind of were like using that the whole year. Now this team is too confident to try that, right? Like now at this point, even with Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
But I get what they're doing. And they're hoping that the 49ers lollygag and sleepwalk a little bit. And then if the game is close enough, all you got to do is make 1 or 2 plays at the end and you can figure out a way to win the game and you can get out of there. But nah, man. This 49ers team is not going to lay down. Like, look at Fred Warner before that Thursday Night Football game and how impassioned he was and talked about, we hate these boys. They are not going to let this slide, man. They're doing this. They understand Jimmy Ward's ripping the signs up. And this team's not going to come out here flat. They're not going to come out playing, lazily. Yeah. This is going to have extra juice. I mean, Joe Staley cried, for God's sakes, after the 2019 game where Dre Greenlaw stopped him. They understand what's in front of them. They're not going to lay. And now it's the playoffs. You can't afford the lollygag. But when you throw Seattle into the mix, this team is too aware of the history to let that happen.
Yeah, and they know what they have in front of them. I don't think they're going to be lulled to sleep by anyone, let alone Pistol Pete Carroll and his monocle over there just doing whatever he does. Sons of Johnny LeMaster says, when D'Amico Ryans leaves for head coaching job, who becomes DC? What do you have a name?
Thoughts? Vic.
I saw a report where they're saying Vic might pair with Sean Payton. Do you think that
Makes
would
sense.
be?
Makes sense. And he's actually consulting, I think, 2 teams. Like he consulted with the 49ers for a little bit and they, he consulted with somebody else. So look, Vic is like, Vic, come on home. Not just for me, for Rich Madrid. Come on home.
We'll put a smile on Rich's face.
But Vic's influence is all over the league. Over the league. Guys are running his stuff over and over. And maybe, Brad, this is why I want Vic over here more than anything. Maybe, Brad, we'll finally get to figure out what the hell Fangio is running over there, man. Like, if he comes over here. No, I don't think it's Chris Kocurek. I don't think Chris Kocurek wants to be a defensive coordinator. And Joe Woods is somebody that I thought about. He just got fired.
Bringing him back?
The secondary loves him, right? Obviously, he was a secondary coach. They're always going to, clamor to their coach. Mm-hmm. I think that there's somebody that we're overlooking within the building or someone that has worked in this Shanahan regime or in the 49ers building from the outside that we're overlooking, right? I don't think anybody, I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think any of us really expected D'Amico to replace Robert Saleh, right?
Right.
So maybe we're missing somebody, I think, at this point. We're overlooking somebody aside from the obvious, whispered about answers. No, man. Yeah. You see a Slick 68? They'll put it on the screen.
Oh, where? I missed it.
It's the last one. It's him and Joshua. What is Fangio doing, man?
What's he doing, man? No,
what
man.
The hell is he running on? And then, no, man. That's Slick 68.
That's right under it. Channeling. It wouldn't be a state of the franchise if we weren't channeling Rich Madrid on this wonderful show. God, but it has been a wonderful show. If you guys haven't smashed the like button on either one of these channels, go do it now because we need it for all the good juju for a win against the Seattle Seahawks. Any parting words here, Jason, before we get out of here?
No, look, Brad, I'm going to get a little sentimental. This is our second year doing full-on state of the franchises. We're covering a back-to-back playoff team. People look forward to this show. I had somebody early this morning in my mentions, are you going live with Brad? I was like, I think so. I had to text you first because I don't know. Obviously, we both have kids and we both have things that we have to do. But Brad, another regular season in the books. Mm-hmm. Another regular season in the books because there's so much more to still do. I want to make sure I'm clear. Another regular season in the books, and I love you, buddy. Thank you so much for doing this with me, man. This is the best time of the week, man. You, Pasquini, all the guys that I do shows with all this entire week, man. This shit is fun, especially when we're talking about a playoff team that has a chance to do something special.
Bro, time flies when we're having fun, right? 2 years of doing State of the Franchise every Wednesday, vibing with the sourdough and the spicy squad, man. How can you not love that face over there, Jason Aponte? Whether he's calm, cool, and collected, or he's got steam blowing out of his ears, you gotta love that guy, man. Jason Aponte, legend.
One more thing I just want to say before we go. Y'all were in the corner crying and pissing your pants about Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not gonna let y'all let that. I'm not letting that slide. I'm not letting that slide. I'm not letting that slide. I told you. That man is a fraud. The team was not good. They were not gonna do anything. I told you.
49ers are gonna be going into the Super Bowl, and he's gonna be like, "I told you, I told you so."
I told you about Aaron Rodgers. I told you about Aaron Rodgers, man. All right, yeah. I mean, he's been playing well, but he didn't really do anything that week. So, cooking.
Yeah, it's going to be. We're going to be going into the Super Bowl, and you're still going to have Jason Aponte out here cooking dudes.
Why is that picture? Why is that picture?
Whoever did this, I love you. This is
my God.
This is what the State of the Franchise offers us.
You got it. I think you know what? You got to put it on the timeline now. Everybody got to.
This is going on the timeline. Oh, this is going on the timeline for sure.
Yeah, that's it. That's a Mario filter, right? That's a Mario filter.
It's gotta be, man. It's gotta be. It looks like someone just straight up. Yeah, you got the. That's gotta be.
Oh my God, man! Why on earth, yo? That mustache and my nose is already wild big. You don't need to add more to it. What the hell?
It's a me, Aponte. So when you're out here acting up in the chat, this is who's cooking you. So just be ready for it. Be prepared. And hey, regardless of we talked about it, man. It really has been a fantastic regular season, and the energy that we can feed off each other is really fun. And I'm hoping and praying that we get to do these 3 more times, right, leading up to the big game or whatever, however the math works out. But just also, our work doesn't stop. We're year round, so you'll probably see us from time to time throughout the off season and all that. We had
to talk about the Senior Bowl. I think I'm gonna be out there. I'm leaning further and further towards the Lord's light. I know. Senior Bowl. So look, Senior Bowl, NFL honors, Pro Bowl, Super Bowl. Your favorite content creators are gonna pop up as some of those things, man. I promise you, man.
So there's even if the season does come to an abrupt end, which we hope it won't, we'll be here to talk about whatever the hell is going on in 49ers world. But for now, that's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. Make sure you follow Jason on all socials over here, writing for Niners Nation, all that good stuff. You've got what is it? Jeez. Why am I blanking on the name of your Sprint Right Option podcast with Andrew Pasquini? I know. What the hell, man? It's like, but just whoop. But make sure you're following this man on all channels. This dude's been grinding this year on the 49ers channel, Supporters Club this year, doing big things, and it's not stopping there. So appreciate all you guys as always. Make sure you like and subscribe to both channels. And hopefully we'll be talking next week about our next playoff matchup for the State of the Franchise. But until then, y'all be safe. We got the game on Saturday. We got to get after it. Appreciate all you guys always rocking with us. We're out of here for now. Peace. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to get into it all right now.